Today pilots, there's only one piece of software needed with Tobii for FS2024, and that's Tobii Experience from the Tobii website. Wouldn't it be nice if you knew that in advance? Just a small setup guide included or clearly indicated in a box for a download link? Gotta wonder why they don't do this. Hi, this is Flight Doc with a few details on the installation and setup of the Tobii 5 in FS2024. I'm loving the hardware, but I found it challenging to get the setup figured out. This is partly Tobii's fault and partly the realities of the YouTube world. Let me tell you why. These are the specs of my test system. It's a high-end system for sure, and the Velocity 1 yoke and quadrant are really a pleasure to use. With 16 gigabytes VRAM on the 9700 XT, I'm running around 60 FPS on Ultra, but it does sometimes drop when running beyond ATC also. My display is a 32-inch LG UltraGear IPS unit running 4K at 144 Hz. So, you just bought your new Tobii. It's a lovely piece of kit, but if you manage to miss the fact that after SU3, Tobii is now native in FS2024, like me, you will download OpenTrack and install it. That will mess you up nicely until you uninstall it. Beware the pink octopus. Even when you uninstall it, your problems may not be over. The solution for me was to open FS Controls, go to Hardware, and bind a key to Eye Tracking Reset and use it once. Suddenly, Tobii came back to life. And for the first time since connecting the hardware, I had all 6 degrees of freedom, including the ability to lean into my cockpit gauges. Once you figure this out, then there is the in-simulation setup. It's more challenging than most admit. There are lots of sliders to tweak and limited understanding of what affects what. This is where the YouTube videos come in, but, and it's a large but, most of them are made prior to SU3. Oops. Once you figure that out, it's still experimental. And if you have all your cockpit views customized, you will now have to adjust many of them for your new cockpit position. This is a little more critical for the commercial jets, where you'll be head down for the starter of every flight, setting up your avionics and MCDU. So let's talk about configuration. You'll have 3 tasks once you've downloaded and installed Tobii Experience. First, you need to configure eye tracking by using Tobii Experience and Chase the Dots. Pretty simple stuff. Second, you go into FS2024 and you bind 2 keys, Eye Tracking Reset and Toggle Head Tracking. Third, you go into Controls Configuration and select your Tobii. Then you go to Hardware Settings and adjust 6 sliders. In FS2024, you have 2 primary configuration options to consider. The challenge will be to balance your Tobii between head tracking and eye tracking. Most users are preferring head tracking only and eye tracking off or very minimal. This is also a common option. Experiment to see if it works for you. I'll explain the settings in more detail in a moment. The Tobii is an impressive device. It does work as advertised once it's all set up. It will expand your situational awareness, and it will emulate the kind of presence you have in the cockpit of an actual airplane in a real-world environment. Yeah, suspension of disbelief goes up a notch. You might even feel those first thrills you had years ago when you first loaded up FS, maybe in 2010. After all this, it's going to take a bit of work to adjust your views if you've customized them. I tend to turn Tobii off when I'm doing cockpit configuration work. In the A300, for example, I have preset views for the EFB, the MCDU, cockpit left and right, overhead panel, and others. These make it easier to be mousing buttons and twisting dials and input letters and numbers into aircraft systems. When ready to taxi for departure, I put Tobii back on. However you play it, you will customize, then experiment, customize again. Other videos have explained all these sliders, so this is the short version. This is my setup after a few hours of airplay. I leave eye tracking off because I hate a jittery cockpit, but some do use it with the top slider at 90 and eye tracking response between 50 and 80. I place pitch and yaw at 110%. This means I get 110% movement in the game for every piece I move my head. Many have this setting higher. Center stabilization helps eliminate unintentional movement. But if you put this number higher than 25, you may find your hardware isn't responsive enough. Head tracking, roll. This one I suggest you start around 50 and play with. Head tracking position responds to transitional movement, so this is everything other than yaw, pitch, and roll. Again, I like my movements just slightly magnified. Don't worry, you'll figure out where it works for you. So that's my Tobii experience and suggestions. Good luck with yours.